Welcome to the 5 o'clock show. It's time for Common Sense. Now, it's Katz and Cosby with John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby, standing for truth, justice, and the American way, bringing common sense to the world. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby. Breaking news, WABC.
Well, we are back, and today, what is it, Wednesday? We're halfway through the week.
Oh, halfway, and boy, what a busy week! And we have an awesome guest with us today.
We have a special guest today. You want to introduce him?
Absolutely, I'd be honored to. We have Congressman Mike Rogers, who's an Army veteran, also FBI special agent, an amazing congressman who is also on the House Intel Committee, the chairman. And you are running for the U.S. Senate in Michigan. And you are just fantastic. We love you. America loves you. And it's such an important seat. That is a critical seat, of course, come the midterms. Great to have you here in New York.
I'm so honored to be here. Thanks for tucking me in, lowering your standards here in New York City and letting me, a Michigan guy, come in.
Is there some common sense is coming in Arizona? Is there any common sense coming in Michigan?
Well, by the way, we have a song leading into that, John.
Yeah. And that crazy train is coming to Michigan for sure. Well done, you guys.
Yeah,
well done.
Yeah,
exactly.
Is that a Michigan song?
Well, it isn't. Other than
right
now, when you think in the next 2 weeks, we've Bernie Sanders and AOC and Abdul El Sayed.
If you're a United States Senator from Michigan, will you vote to make it the official song?
It would have to be by somebody like Ted Nugent or something if we were going to do the Motor City Madman, who's a big Michigan guy.
I love Ted Nugent.
And also in the studio, we have former Deputy Mayor in the Rudy Giuliani administration. We have with us Rudy Washington. Rudy, welcome to the studio.
Yes. I mean,
must be Wednesday.
It is Prince Spaghetti Day.
You didn't go through my legacy. I mean,
well, Rudy Washington feels that he heard from his great-great-grandmother that he might be related to George Washington.
Wonderful.
Don't they look very similar?
I think you look exactly the same.
Well, a little bit.
George's hair was a little
bit
longer.
Of a color difference.
Yeah.
No,
he's got grayish hair.
Yeah, grayish hair, yeah.
That counts.
But he doesn't have the long hair.
Now, Mike, tell him to treat me like royalty now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's what this is all about.
This is all about.
George Washington said,
yes, he was against royalty.
I am not a king.
Royalty. I forgot.
Why can't we get you back in the mayor's shop over there? Holy mackerel.
Boy, do we need it. And in fact,
gosh.
that is such a big topic, Congressman. I mean, the flip-flop that's happened with Mondani. What do you think? You've got crazy train again in Michigan.
We have they're claiming to be the mini Mandami running in Michigan, who has all the bad ideas that certainly Mandami has here. And I would argue some worse.
Is that mini-me?
It was like the mini-me, you bet. And again, they're all on that crazy train that you played.
Tell everybody about what's at stake, because the Abdul El Sayed, we've talked about him on the show. I mean, this is a guy who's been embracing Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11.
The blind sheikh.
Yeah, the blind sheikh. That's the guy in New Jersey. But this guy is equally very troubling. Seems to be praising Hamas.
Apologist for Hamas.
Yeah, and wouldn't condemn. I remember after everything that was going on in the strike against the Ayatollah, so we can't talk about the Ayatollah. That was a big deal where he said, I don't want to upset my constituents who might be happy about the Ayatollah and upset that he's passed away. I mean, that's a troubling trend.
And one better even, we had a terrorist whose relation, I think he was his either father-in-law or some relation in Lebanon, who was a commander in Hezbollah, was killed in the conflict with Israel, and he lived in Dearborn, Michigan, packed his car with explosives, drove into a synagogue, and it was a day school, was trying to kill 140 Jewish children. And Abdul said, well, you could see how somebody might feel that they to do something like this. And I think that in and of itself is disqualifying.
Totally disqualifying.
Yeah,
I agree. It's disqualifying.
I agree.
And we also in the studio, Judge Richard Weinberg.
Last but not least.
15 years, the aide or chief of staff or general counsel to the Speaker of the City Council in New York, Peter Vallone. 15 years as Supreme Court Justice.
I would say that makes him qualified.
Nine
That's
and
what
a
I
half
would
years
say.
here.
Yeah, which feels longer.
And by the way, I don't know if your cameras are on, but now we actually know what a judge wears under the black robe.
Yeah, and look how well dressed he is. Look how absolutely immaculately well dressed he is. That's our standards in here, Congressman.
I know, and I didn't wear a tie.
No, you look great. You look great.
We can find you one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they let you into the that club, that special club you're going to meet you at 6:00?
They told me yes. I'm going to look
Without
back
a
at my
tie?
staff back here.
Without a tie?
They told me yes. Is that not true?
I'm not sure about that thing.
Yeah, you might
we'll be making a stop on the way.
I was going to say, you might need to do rent a tie.
If you need a tie, we got extra ties upstairs.
Do you like what John has, or do you like what Judge has? Which one do you like better?
Well, I don't know. Which one's more expensive? That's what I'm going to
Smart answer. Good answer. Yeah, tell us about some of the big issues, too, in Michigan, because affordability, national security.
And this is why I think the pundits in this town in Washington, D.C. are getting wrong this race. This is a change election for Michigan. We've had two Democrats representing our U.S. Senate seats for 32 years. The Democrats have been in charge in Lansing, Michigan, our capital, for about 10 years. I mean, every metric is worse. Our schools are now 44th. We've lost 30,000 manufacturing jobs. Our utility bills are highest in the Midwest. By the way, our auto insurance rates highest in the country. I mean, the list goes on and on. And what I think people don't realize is we've been talking about the hope for Michigan getting up off her knees and being the envy of manufacturing again, and we have a plan to do it. And so we're talking about change. We're talking about the future of Michigan, where everyone else wants to, make it all national all the time. We're talking about real issues that are affecting Michigan citizens, like putting SHOP back in every high school. I have a housing bill that will allow younger homeowners to save tax-free for a down payment, and your employer can kick in tax-free.
That's great.
Yeah, and by the way, you also can pay your first-year property tax. Let them get their feet up underneath them. I mean, we're talking about affordability issues that matter to people who are getting up every day and working, and we are not the Rust Belt. New York, you need to know, we are the work belt in Michigan, and we're going to get back to that. And we've got so much potential. And I'm just running around the state talking about how we're going to connect to that potential, and it's doing exceptionally well. That's why our polling shows us ahead of either one of these opponents. But, man, the more they talk, the crazier they get, and they all jumped on the same crazy train with all of the other ones. So you're going to have a real choice here, common sense or crazy.
Talk about also how important that race is, Congressman Mike Rogers, because Gary Peters, right, is the sitting senator. He is not going to be reelecting. He's not going for so it's an open seat. This is a really big deal, and especially if it could flip from Democrat to Republican, what that means also just even for the midterms. I mean, there's so much at stake. And which is why, of course, the president endorsed you, because it is such a pivotal seat. He wants somebody with your great credentials, but why that's such an important seat overall, too, not just for Michigan, but really for the country.
Yeah, and when we win the Senate seat, the Democrats can't take back numerically. It's almost impossible to take back the U.S. Senate. So for those of you who are big Chuck Schumer fans here, I'm sorry. He will not be in the majority when we're done winning this. But why another part of this, we've never had two back-to-back open Senate seats. Never happened before. So an open Senate seat when I ran in 24 came within 0.3%, 232 votes per county. That's how close that race was. Going into this had huge name ID, which is why I think our polling shows where we're at. And it's an open seat again, which we're pretty grateful to have that opportunity. That's why people are excited about it. And here's the last one. I'll bore you on the stats. We got 2.6 million votes in 24. We only need 2.2 million votes to win a midterm. And we just crossed 1 million doors knocked in Michigan. We've never done that this early. Yeah, it's huge. It's substantial. And we think that's helping our numbers. It's helping our excitement. And that's why I think people are looking at Michigan and go, we're going to win that seat.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of incredible momentum on your side. And nobody works harder than you. I've seen you in action, truly. Judge Weinberg.
And it's so important for the country that Mike Rogers get elected to the Senate. This is a man, a former FBI special agent, a man who was chairman of the Intelligence Committee in the House. If you concerned about the national security and the future stability of this country, we need to have Mike Rogers in the Senate. It's absolutely essential. If you love this country, you want to protect this country, you want to defend this country, you have to have somebody with real ability, experience, and integrity. And Mike Rogers is that man.
I don't want to say anything else and screw up what you're thinking. That was right. That was pretty good. I love that.
That was a
great.
good one. That was very good. Very good.
I love that.
Is that a paid political
Yeah,
announcement?
exactly. The only thing you forgot is RogersForSenate.com.
Yeah, you left that out.
Senate.com.
Rudy Washington.
Congressman, you ought to walk around with him.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, do you mind if I borrow him there, John?
Let him introduce you everywhere you go.
I love it.
Talk about national security, though, because that is a big issue. You just touched on that. You're an FBI special agent for many years.
And we got Victoria Coates coming on, and she's going to, maybe you could stick around a few more minutes while Victoria Coates is on, and she's going to give us her indication, her pulse of what the heck is going on, and maybe we can compare notes.
Yeah, how long can you stay with us, by the way, today?
I think we have to be on the road at, I'm going to turn around.
Yeah, turn around. Look at the staff. Look at the staff. How long? Let's see.
Is that what
Okay, good. 5:30. Okay, good. Because
Victoria Coates is coming on in a few minutes.
Yep, she's going to join us after the break. That's great. Okay, good.
I was talking to the other room for my staff.
That's called the control room.
Yeah.
You know what they control?
Yes.
Nothing.
Exactly. Yeah,
Depends on the day. He doesn't have a tie, so I'm not going to talk to him.
Perfect.
Talk about the national security interest, and also with your background with FBI. You think about all the threats to the homeland, and that's something that we talk about. New York, sadly, is often a big target. Really, many places, Michigan too. How important it is to have somebody who understands appreciating America and the security aspects. And you think about just the domestic threats. We even had a guy this week, you probably saw, who showed up at the federal building, lit the entrance on fire. And that's the building that houses ICE, but also the FBI.
Yeah. No, there is this radicalization that's happening. I do think political conversations are promoting violence and driving people who are, and certainly the commissioner knows this, that you would have, it doesn't take a lot to get some of these people to tip from being normal and okay to wanting to commit an act of violence. And I think that just rhetoric has really heated that up. Back in Michigan, we worry about a couple of things. China is a significant threat to the United States. I think it's our long-term strategic threat. It's somebody we're going to have to pay attention to. They don't want, as someone told me one time back in the intelligence business, China doesn't really want allies. They want customers. So they want to own markets. They want to own our automobile market. In Michigan, this is hugely important. We fight about trying to get 100% built Chinese cars imported into the United States. It's an absolute existential threat to our automobile build business. And by the way, if we can't build things in America, and we're seeing that right now, what the struggle is about us keeping up is dangerous for the future of the country. So China is something we got to worry about. Certainly, the Middle East is always going to be on fire, and we've got to contain that and worry about that.
I mean, in order of damage, China has said that as long as President Trump is president, they're never going to attack Taiwan. That's what they said. I think they said that. I mean, you got Russia, you got China, you have Iran. Whom do you trust? None.
None of them.
None of the above.
None of them. I mean, think of this. So when the negotiators went to Iran, the first thing those negotiators said is, oh, by the way, we have enough enriched uranium for 10 nuclear bombs. Now, does that sound like somebody that would be intimidated about what the United States, and that's because of a pattern of inaction by every president, by the way, Republican and Democrat. And so making sure that they did not get a nuclear weapon to me was really, really important. We're fighting with high prices in Michigan like everyone is. We need to get this thing wrapped up so we can get energy prices down. That's going to be really, really important. But you can't allow Iran the capability to build a nuclear weapon. We just cannot do it. You can see their attitude already. They've already are absolutely getting it taken to them, and they keep saying, no, we want a nuclear weapon.
What I find amazing, Congressman, is that Europe is not upset about this. I mean, they've demonstrated they can hit Europe. Mm-hmm. I mean, what Obama put together did not restrict missile development, and we now know they developed. And that statement of we can have enough uranium to make 10 bombs, that was supposed to scare Trump, that statement?
I think it was. I think it did the opposite.
Yeah, it emboldened him. It emboldened him.
And now Europe knows that they can be hit.
Yeah, I'll give just real quickly, if I may. I know you have a break coming up, but 3 components of a nuclear program: the missile, the enrichment, and then the last bit, forming that enriched material to put it on top of a missile. They had that when I was chairman, my last year being chairman, 2014. The big debate back then was how long would it take them to put those programs together? What is it, months, weeks? That was in 2014.
Wow.
Clearly, they weren't stopping on any of that in its 10 years.
Who's calling in right now, Rita?
Yeah, well, we have some breaking news.
Breaking news, WABC.
Of course, big discovery, and it came from the governor of New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, saying that there were 400 non-citizens casting their votes illegally in New Jersey, 6,600 immigrants who were wrongly added to the Garden State's voter rolls. And joining us now is Christine Hanlon. She is the New Jersey GOP party chair. Christine, what's the latest with this? And why do you think she came out with this? What was the reason she came out with this announcement now?
Hey there, great to be with you. You know, this has been snowballing over the past couple of months and weeks, and you know, our election integrity task force in New Jersey uncovered evidence of non-citizens on the voter rolls. Then you had Mark Wayne Mullen writing a letter to the governor saying, we've identified over 30,000 non-citizens on your voter rolls. And now, all of a sudden, lo and behold, there are many non-citizens on the voter rolls, and the governor made this public yesterday. It's been like a bombshell. It's the election integrity issue of our time right now, and we're working hard to really make sure that the system is corrected and this doesn't continue to happen, and that the voter rolls are cleansed.
Do we have, I guess the question is, because I heard a lot of people yesterday, Christine, coming out and saying it's the same, I guess, system that's elsewhere. And do we know, is this only it? And the question is, why now? Because she also said it was her predecessor, who obviously, Governor Murphy, a Democrat also. I wonder, like, was she expecting, like, maybe the Trump administration or somebody else was going to come out and say, hey, here's what we discovered, and she was being preemptive?
Yeah, I think in many ways, yes, because you did have, you know, Homeland Security saying we've identified these. You know, our team in New Jersey has identified the issue. And I think you also had the Justice Department starting to talk about how, you know, if you're facilitating non-citizens on the voter rolls, you know, we're going to hold you accountable. So I think all of these things came together, and then lo and behold, oh, yeah, this is happening. You know, I think the issue is bigger than what we saw yesterday. I don't know what the systems are in other states, but if they're similar to New Jersey, you may have the same problem. And to me, there are flaws in the system where there are no verification processes. And this is how you get people who are on the voter rolls who should not be on the rolls and casting ballots.
Yeah, it's a big, serious issue. So we'll see where this goes. Thank you, Christine, very much for an update. Everybody's talking about it, so we really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me and John. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Keep fighting. Keep fighting for what's right in America.
Thank you so much. We will.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. And John, we have a break now, and then we have Victoria Coates, and we're going to continue more with another great expert on national security and international security, Congressman Mike Rogers, right after the break.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC. Breaking news, WABC.
Well, while the congressman, we were on the phone with the GOP chairperson of New Jersey, the congressman has his 2 cents to put in. Tell us what happened in Michigan.
Yeah, Congressman Mike Rogers.
Well, we have the worst Secretary of State in the country, the most lawsuits to try to get the rolls cleaned up. Department of Justice has had to go in and request the rolls. They're fighting. The Secretary of State's fighting it. And we had a clerk, a county clerk, find that all of these illegal aliens were registered to vote because they were coming in for jury duty.
Wow.
So it tells you they're on the list. They may not even know what's right or what's wrong, but they're on the list. We have 57 out of 83 counties have more people registered than are eligible to vote. We have some work to do in Michigan.
Now, let me give you my 2 cents. You were with the FBI for a while.
Yes, sir.
What was the old expression of the FBI? Somebody has to go to jail. If nobody goes to, or has to go to prison. If nobody goes to prison, they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, we even had a Chinese national announced that he voted in 2024, got on a plane and went back to China. And here's the crazy thing. That vote counts.
Oh,
my
God.
And I, by the way,
Wait, how does
I
that
doubt he
count?
voted for me.
How does that count?
Because you don't know what ballot it is.
Oh,
All right,
can't
let's go
find
to
it.
Victoria.
wow. I'm just stunned. My jaw is
We have some work
dropping
to do.
here.
We have some work to do.
Let's go to Victoria.
All right, let's go to Victoria. And there's a lot of big news coming out about Iran. Just in the last few hours, President Trump said that if there's any strikes on any ships in the Strait of Hormuz, he will go after a power plant or a bridge. And then the Iran foreign minister said, then we will respond. So it's getting very heated over in Iran. Victoria, former deputy national security advisor for President Trump, Victoria Coates. Where is this all going? It seems like it's ratcheting up in the last few hours.
Oh, it is. Hi, gang. It's good to be with everybody. I think, the president's sending a very clear signal that we are going to have safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz going forward. And so what he said is he's going to start striking some infrastructure around Tehran. And that's very specific because a lot of Iran is quite rural and folks are maybe not used to all of the services you would expect. But in the capital city, people expect electricity, they expect water, they expect services. That is all being chipped away at. And so I think you're going to see that put some more very difficult pressure on the regime in Tehran to try to maintain what's left of their base. And, the other thing we saw today was Saudi Arabia signing this very significant nuclear deal with the United States. Every country in the region that's not named Iran is drawing closer to the United States.
Yeah, that was
Saudi,
a biggie. That was a biggie.
It's Saudi, it's Qatar, it's Lebanon, it's Iraq, it's all of them, Rita.
And Victoria, we have with us also in studio the great Congressman Mike Rogers, of course, head of Intel Committee when he was there in the House, former FBI agent, Congressman.
Well, hey, Victoria, thanks for the update. I will say as well, I think if we can get Iran solved, the greatest peace accomplishment probably in since World War II, in the sense that you will have people more inclined to sign up to the Abraham Accords. And I keep telling people who are clamoring, don't send money to Israel, don't send money to Israel. If you want to stop sending money to Israel, get Iran back to being a peaceful neighbor that isn't a danger and a threat to its neighbors. Then you can probably stop sending money to Israel because they're trying to defend themselves. And they are responsible for all of the terrorism and chaos that you see across the Middle East through the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas.
Oh, no, Mike. I mean, and we are all cheering you on. We're hoping for the best for you and your campaign, but this is critically important. And in terms of the money for Israel, I mean, we have a slightly different position at Heritage that we came out with last year, which is we think we should do what Prime Minister Netanyahu did in the 1990s with the economic assistance to Israel, which is phase it out over time. And we came up with a proposal that had benchmarks for the Israeli economy that if they met certain growth levels, we would start transferring about $250 million a year out of foreign military financing to foreign military sales. And then for us, that money would go into joint programs, and that this would remove an irritant and increase our joint programming. And it is now, I'm proud to say, the established public position of the Prime Minister's office. So I agree with you. I think this is something that we can work on and then point to the investment that the American taxpayer has made over really the last 30 years since the Reagan era, how much it has paid off for us, how jointly interoperable our forces are. That's one of the great lessons of Operation Epic Fury. And this is something we need to nurture and grow, not turn into a political football the way the Democrats are trying to do.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I really couldn't agree more. And that conclusion of Iran in the right way, think of what it's going to do to prices, fantastic. And now you have a new economic engine in the Middle East. Oh, and by the way, you can phase down that funding probably a lot quicker.
Oh, absolutely. And the curious thing is if you had told me a year ago, even, maybe even less, that I would be talking about Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria as not screaming disasters tonight, I wouldn't have believed you. But, we've had visits from both President Aoun of Lebanon and Prime Minister al-Zaidi last week from Iraq, both of which are trying to draw closer to the United States, are trying to reject Iran. That's even more impressive in my mind, disrupting their so-called Shia crescent across the Middle East to the Mediterranean. That's all going away. And people are voting with their money. The Iraqi prime minister signed $60 billion worth of deals with Chevron and Exxon. That's pretty hard to unwind. And, that's not an ideological thing. That is a practical nuts and bolts economic decision of where he wants his country to go.
Well, Victoria, thank you so much. It's so great to have you here and have your perspective, and how awesome to also be able to have some questions from Congressman Mike Rogers. Victoria, thank you very much.
Excellent. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you very much. And before we let you go, Congressman, final thoughts. I know the primary on the Democratic side is coming up, and you're full steam to November. But final thoughts from you, because I know you got a busy night.
Listen, Michigan is going to be on the map. We're going to win Michigan, and we're going to get her back up off her knees. We're going to have our kids reading. We're going to get defense industrial base work back. We're going to put people in homes where they couldn't afford them before. We've got all of that going for our great state as long as we win and change Michigan from 32 years of Democrat control, of which none of it has helped us at all. So RogersForSenate.com, get in the fight. And by the way, Abdul El Sayed is somebody to be worried about. If you don't like what Mandami's doing here, you're not going to like Abdul Sayed in the Senate. So let's get involved and get this thing done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good meeting you, Congressman.
Yeah, great to have you. Mike Rogers.
Yeah. Thank you. It's great to meet somebody who is related to George Washington.
Yeah, he looks similar.
Before you leave the office, find out if you need a tie for that private club.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And we have extra ties here in the studio.
I was going to say, and Mike, before you go again, what is it? What's the website one more time?
Rogers, ROGERS, 4FOR, Senate.com. Okay. RogersForSenate.com. We'd love to have you. Join the fight.
Great. And it's an important seat, big seat. We
absolutely.
love having you here.
Thank
you guys.
See you later.
Really
great to see you guys. Judge, I'll send you the ticket to come on over.
I'm on my way.
Thank you very much. And you guys, we have the big headlines of the day.
Well, they're sponsored by Goya Foods. It's the top news of the day.
It's the top news of the day, sponsored by Goya. Here's Rita Cosby.
And here are some of the headlines. President Trump is in Georgia to spotlight his administration's affordability agenda. He is speaking in Marietta to promote Trump accounts, which provide a one-time $1,000 U.S. Treasury contribution for children born between 2025 and 2028. And also, the other big story, the Secret Service is increasing security for Friday's rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner after an assassination attempt, of course, at the original event in April. The Secret Service director says the agency is operating in a very heightened threat environment. The event has been moved to the Waldorf Astoria with a much smaller guest list and a lot more security. And those are the big headlines. We're going to come back and we're going to talk to General Jack Keane. And we have a whole bunch more coming up on Katz and Cosby.
You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby. And boy, there's a lot happening with Iran. President Trump also saying he's going to hit Pickaxe Mountain. So what is that site? What capabilities do we have? Well, joining us now is General Jack Keane. Of course, who better than he, retired 4-star general and also senior strategic analyst there at Fox News and the Institute of the Study of War. And joining us now is General Jack Keane. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, well, I think, look, at the Iranians violated the MOU just days after both presidents signed it. I think that was a major turning point for our president. when you think about it, he went to a ceasefire on April the 7th and really began to execute the negotiations almost immediately on April the 8th. And we've gone 90 days plus now in some form of negotiations with the thought that maybe we would get a deal. And some who were advising the president, were convinced that Iranian behavior, the people that we're dealing with, are more reasonable than what they've had in the past. And my take on it has always been they haven't changed one iota. Some of the people changed, but their commitment to the regime has not changed. And we saw that just days after their president signed the MOU, they violated. So where are we? We're on a path. Obviously, we're executing combat operations. We're opening the Straits of Hormuz. That will take some time, but we just got to take down all of the capabilities that the Iranians have. This is drones, missiles, fast boats, and then also deal with their ballistic missiles, their launch systems, and also their long-range drones, because that's what they're using, John and Rita, to retaliate against U.S. bases in the region and also our Gulf allied partners, largely civilian targets. So that is what has taken place. Admiral Cooper is in charge of this operation. He's very capable. His people are executing exceptionally well. And I think we're going to see likely some expansion of all of this, because I think the president recognizes we can't get a diplomatic solution with these people. They lie and they cheat. And something we said on your show is even if you sign a deal with them, they would likely not comply with it. And that's what we just saw. So, yeah, that's where the president is. I'm convinced of it. He's made up his mind that combat operations is the way to move. We've got Secretary Benson doing a great job of slapping the sanctions back on them. We've got a blockade tying up all of their oil resources. So the squeeze is on militarily and economically.
General, I understand that the foreign minister of Iran is sitting in Pakistan begging that they want to sit down, and that Secretary Rubio a few hours ago or this morning said that we're not going to sit down with them because we don't think they're serious. But is this a moving target?
Yeah, here's what I think, John. I mean, it's a great question. We have fallen prey to this in the past. They will say whatever they have to say to get us to stop doing what is frustrating them. And that's what they said when we went to a ceasefire. And they are somewhat emboldened by the fact that they shut down the Straits of Hormuz. When did they do that? We started the war on the 28th of February. They shut it down on the 2nd of March. And over time, they realized that this gave them leverage over the Gulf state and partners. In a way, their nuclear program, they always wanted that for leverage, for sure. But most of it is under a mountain of rubble. But the Straits of Hormuz gave them this leverage, and they're convinced that, rightfully so, and I think they're accurate about this, that President Trump likely did go to a ceasefire about a month or so after they closed the Straits because of rising oil prices and the gas prices that came along with it and the political implications. He's never hidden that from anybody. But he tried in earnest to get a diplomatic solution. And these guys say what we want to hear. And I think the administration is fed up with it. And, of course, they're saying to the Pakistanis and the Qataris, they're saying anything right now to get us to stop what we're doing. Because the one thing they don't want to have is to have the United States open up the Straits of Hormuz and have them lose their leverage. That is their major center of gravity that exists right now. And that's just the simple truth of it.
Rudy Washington.
General King, what puzzles me is that We don't know where these leaders are of this mosaic type warfare, that we could just take them out, the troublemakers.
Now, we know who the leaders are, both the diplomatic ones and the military ones, but they have learned quite a bit since 28 February, when we took so many leaders out, even some that were in at the time, the bunkers they had confidence in. So what they have done since then is they have dug some deep bunkers that would be that are very challenging for us, and certainly that they're not in it all day. Obviously, some of them have to negotiate, some of them are running military operations, but they're spending an awful lot of time in these bunkers. Think of them as operation centers in addition to a place for shelter from American bombs and missiles. Yeah. So it's the sum of what I just said. It's a more challenging target. That doesn't mean it's no target at all. Believe me, the intelligence services of the Israelis, the Mossad, and our CIA are very good at determining where people are and maybe also finding some vulnerability. So I wouldn't take the leadership targets off the table at all, and likely we get back into major combat operations, which I think is likely. Leadership targets will certainly be engaged again. Maybe not to the degree of success when we had unbelievable strategic surprise on the first day of the war, but likely will achieve some success.
Well, keep us posted. General Jack Keane, you always have the best analysis. And let's see, especially where the next few days, especially, it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster, I think. General Jack Keane, we love you. Thank you so much, Jack.
Thank you, General.
Yeah, take care.
Thank
Good
you.
talking to you all. Thank you.
Okay.
You too. Thank you so much.
He's one of the best.
He is definitely, John, definitely. And some big news coming out of Treasury.
Breaking news, WABC.
Everybody's talking about this. The U.S. Treasury Department under President Trump has blocked nearly $100 million in taxpayer money going to dead people. You heard it. That's a big deal. Joining us,
$100 billion going to dead people?
$100 million. $100 million. Yep, $100 million going, taxpayer dollars going to dead people. That's a lot of money, you guys. And obviously a lot of questions on how that happened. Well, joining us to talk about it, John, is Frank Bisignano. He is the commissioner of the Social Security Administration. He's also the CEO of the IRS.
Oh, my God. Well, you know what you did? You took Jamie Dimon's best employee, Vincent LaPadula, from the great state of the great borough of Staten Island, out of New York, and you took him away from us.
I love Vince. I mean, he's going to be great for us. We're shoulder to shoulder right now, working on
But he had to take a big pay cut, Frank.
I know. It's the right thing to do. I did it too. Serve the country. There's nothing better in the world than to work in this administration with this president. He allows us to operate in a manner that you would love, John.
Well, I'm glad you're there together, and you guys make a powerful team. And Jamie tells me that he was the best, one of his best part of the team, but he was willing to lend them to you.
Oh, I'm lucky, and the country's lucky to have Vince.
Wow.
And we're lucky to have this administration, this team, and the president's put together.
And you know what? Let's get to this big news.
What happened to the $100 million?
Yeah, this is huge. So how did you guys discover it? It's a new system, right, that you discovered this, Frank? Bravo.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been at fraud, waste, and abuse since, we got here. And it's really about follow the money, right? It's always like that. And we've built systems now to verify the status of people across the whole government. I like to say there's never been a moment in time when the federal government has worked together like they're working together now. The work of Vice President Vance on the fraud task force, Secretary Bessent, and myself in both an IRS and SSA role, working on ensuring money is checked against all types of data fields before they go out. And this is just one tranche of it, this $100 million. And you should just expect this. It's real money all the time. This is taxpayer money that we're keeping in Treasury that should never have left. And, things like this happen for years. You build systems like you would build in a financial institution to ensure the payments are going to the right place. And we have that now. Great job by all.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Well, we have former Deputy Mayor Rudy Washington who's here. Rudy.
No, I just wanted to say, Commissioner, that tell Vinny that Rudy Washington said hi.
All right, I'll do that. I'm going to see him when I hang up the phone here. And we're like I said, we're shoulder to shoulder. We got a good team here at IRS, and we got a great team at SSA, and we got a great team at the White House.
Frank, talk about also just how big of a deal, and it sort of fits with the whole mantra of the Trump administration. I mean, they have been cracking down on fraud, it seems like, on so many levels. And this is amazing what you're seeing. Is this sort of part of clearly the philosophy from day one? And President Trump wrote on this that we're going to clean up. It's sort of from the top down mentality.
Well, it's top-down mentality and it's teamwork, too, because, if you operate in silos, you're going to have a better chance to get picked off than if you have some horizontal capability that allows us to look at information from multiple sources before releasing a payment. And that's what's been instilled in the system with the president's leadership, the vice presidents, and then the partnership here at the cabinet level.
So where does it go from here? Tell us about some of the other stuff you guys are doing, because obviously that's a huge area with Social Security and IRS. Where are some of the other big things you're tackling? Because many of our listeners, we have millions who are listening. This is a hot area, Frank.
Yeah, one of the things that was very interesting early on is that there was a Social Security database that was never reconciled. So it carried the number one identifier of Americans, the Social Security number. And imagine that file, as the president had said early on, we have people 160 years old on that file. And it didn't mean that they were getting paid Social Security, but it meant it was a live Social Security number. We created a risk function to oversee these type of things. We created a cyber function to ensure we had the right defense. And then we probably had to correct over 30 million records. If you think about 30 million people's Social Security number had something wrong.
Wow.
That Herculean work by career people who are highly motivated to do something never asked of before. You would never have a master file that was not reconciled and not checked. And it's the first time in the history of America under President Trump.
One more question. The fact is, I remember when the first Social Security problems came up, there was people that were born in 1800. How did that happen?
Well, that talks about the file being inaccurate, right?
Yeah.
You follow me? That's when I talk about, if you got 300 million people on that file, plus we had more than 10% that needed corrections. You think about the size of that in terms of, look at data integrity matters. Cybersecurity matters. Reconciling information across agencies has never happened at the level it's happening now, and 100% done the right way. The right agreement, the right sharing, and the right execution.
Understood. Anything else you wanted to say to the millions of people listening to us?
Well, the fact of the matter is, we are in the throes of the Trump accounts. And this is one of the great programs of all time, generationally. It will outlast all of us. And right now those accounts are being funded. We have 6.5 million. We're going to have 70 million children ultimately enrolled in Trump accounts, and that gives them access to the equity upside that one has. The great thoughts of Secretary Bessent and the president got us here, and I'm happy to be able to oversee that and ensure that we have a great program for these families that wouldn't have had the chance to have exposure to the equity markets too. Well,
Commissioner of the Social Security Administration, CEO of the IRS, I think our money is in good shape, being watched by both of you. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming on today.
God bless.
God bless. You. And now let's go to Florida. I mean, what's our Florida song?
Yeah, we need a Florida song.
We don't have a Florida song?
Yeah, maybe it's...
Come on down.
Yeah, I was going to say Exodus from New York.
Well, we got Senator Rick Scott. Do you want to bring him in?
Absolutely. I love Senator Rick Scott from the great state of Florida. Senator, this is Rita Cosby. It's so great to talk with you again, my friend. Fill us in on, first of all, what's going on with the SAVE Act? And what's happening with voter integrity? I know it's an issue very near and dear to your heart.
Well, first off, Trump showed us in his press conference last Thursday of how many illegals are on the voter rolls. New Jersey showed us they have 6,000. We saw what James O'Keefe and Spencer Pratt showed us out in California, where they're paying people on Skid Row to vote for Karen Bass. So we know this stuff's going on. So thank God for the House. They passed it. Now we got to get it done over here. The public wants it. Republicans, Democrats, Independents. So here's our options. We have sort of three options. One is to pass the Save America Act, which is voter ID. You have to show your American citizen registered to vote. That would either require, we got the votes, we got 50 votes for it. We would require either getting rid of the filibuster or forcing the Democrats to talk. Historically, the filibuster was not to stop a bill. It was to say, we've talked about this long enough. We're going to vote now because it only takes 50 to pass a bill. So those are our first two options. The third option is there's things that we can do to create an incentive for states to do the right thing. We do that through reconciliation, which only takes 50 votes. And so that's something else we're looking at. So what I'd like to do is either get rid of the filibuster or make the Democrats start talking. And when we're done, we vote. But whichever way we can do it, we need to do it. We're going on recess in 2 weeks, and we got to get it done before we go on recess.
Senator, I understand Congress today passed the bill for the defense bill.
The House did. Yep.
Right. What happens now?
Yeah. Well, we took a vote on that last week, and every Democrat voted against it.
Yeah, that was shocking. I mean, that is so shocking,
this
Senator.
Is a bipartisan bill. Yeah, this is a bipartisan bill. It came out of the committee on a bipartisan manner. It's one thing. It's the one bill that we voted on behind closed doors, no press. So it's got Republican priorities, Democrat priorities. But right now, the Democrats, they don't want to do anything. They want to shut down government. They don't want to pass election security. There's nothing. They don't want to fund our military. So it's really a very tough time.
Yeah, it is so crazy. Senator Rick Scott, we have Judge Richard Weinberg.
Senator, good to talk to you again, sir. It's just,
hey, Judge.
It's good to talk to you. It's absolutely ridiculous that in time of war, when our people are on the line, when we're being attacked, we're defending American Western civilization, that these people will not do the right thing and fund our military and our defense budget. How do they stand there and do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's ultimately the public that has to get up in arms. That's why I tell everybody, I said, look, I don't care what party you are. You have to be active. You have to, you have to get out there and tell your House members and your senators what's important to you. And if you do, then people are going to do the right things. So that's what needs to happen. The public needs to be up in arms about this, and people need to follow what their elected officials are doing.
Senator Rick Scott, I know that you're very big on, fighting this sort of CCP influence, if you will. And one of the things that is so troubling, I saw the other day, Hassan Piker, this guy, influencer who a lot of these Democratic Socialists of America, I think, are dangerously hanging out with him. He was talking about praising Mao. And I saw that you are spearheading, it's a bill that would essentially put this memorial, talk about this, across from the CCP embassy. Bravo to you. You're always fighting the good fight. Tell us about it.
Well, look, what the CCP has done to its own citizens is despicable. What they've done to the Uyghurs, they've imprisoned, so many Uyghurs. They've stolen organs from people. The imprisonment and the attacks on the Falun Gong members. I mean, it's just disgusting what the Communist Party of China has done. So I think we ought to have a way to recognize and respect the people who have been killed. And there's a lot of Americans that their families have gone to prison because they're in this country. And so there's a park behind the Communist China embassy, and so I think we ought to put some sort of statute up there to recognize all the people that they've murdered.
How big of a deal is this whole push, the communism, the socialism that we're seeing? You've been in the Senate there a long time. And I just think about, I've covered the Congress a long time. I've never sort of seen this strain where it is so sort of not anti-Israel but it's anti-American as well. And some of these things that they're talking are downright communistic, some of these values.
Well, I think if you look at what's happened to the young in this country, they can't buy a starter home. 242 cities, a starter home now costs over $1 million. You look at school was not expensive when I went to school. It was $200 a semester for me to go to school. Now it's thousands and thousands. People end up with thousands of dollars in debt, and they're not even getting degrees where they get a job. So if you look at the deal for young in this country, the federal government has actually killed their American dream. And so but socialism's not the answer. What guys like Landami are trying to sell is, it's not working. Well, it actually isn't working for a lot of these people. But the way to fix it is by fixing our government. It's not to get rid of capitalism. It's not more free government. That means you're going to have no opportunities. But we got, Republicans got to balance the budget. We've got to get rid of all the regulations. We got to reduce the cost of school. We got to really focus on the cost of living. And if we don't, then you can understand why people, why socialism sounds good, because people say, well, you guys, look at what you guys have done. And so that's why I'm focused every day on balance the budget. How do we reduce the permitting, or get rid of permits, or get rid of regulations? Make it easier for people to live in this country, build a business, get started.
Yeah, great point. And before we let you go, we have former Deputy Mayor Rudy Washington here.
Senator, I never thought I would get pushed to the point of considering abolishing the filibuster. And I was so grateful that Sinema from Arizona, and I believe West Virginia former senator,
Manchin,
stopped them from doing it. And I believe the president is right when he says, if and when they get back into power, they will eliminate the filibuster. Now, doing it now, only problem I would have is I would want to see a full agenda over the next.
What we're going to do?
Yeah,
if we do get rid of it.
Yeah, I
agree with you.
Yeah, develop a full agenda that would almost block them. I know it takes creative thinking, but get some good thinkers in a room and say, okay, if we can do all of this, how do we stop them from destroying the Constitution and the country? Because that's what they want to do.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what makes me mad is that the filibuster was basically never to stop a bill, it was to stop debate. Schumer's just really abused it. And so he's causing these problems. So why don't we just enforce the filibuster? Why do we say, okay, we're gonna enforce the filibuster, so you have to talk. You can talk as long as you want, but you get to talk one time. If you go back to the Civil Rights Act, the Democrats were blocking the Civil Rights Act too, and so they didn't even have close to the votes, but they said, okay, so we're going to get on the bill and we're going to talk. We're going to talk until we get this bill passed. And guess what? And they talked, and people came together, and they got the Civil Rights Act done. We ought to be doing the same thing on things that are important here. Say, you know what? We're going to get on the bill, and we're going to talk. Everybody's got, talk. If you want to talk for a full day, talk. But at the end of that, we're going to vote. That's the way the Senate was supposed to be set up. It was not supposed to be used. You don't even have to talk. But we're never going to, we're going to take 60 votes to procedurally to go to the bill.
Yeah, no,
that
you're
was
right.
never the
You
way it was set up.
can't, we shouldn't be my personal opinion, I don't think we should be the first ones to knock out that 60 votes. I think we have to embarrass at least 8 to 10 senators from the Democratic Party to vote on common sense.
Yeah, that's what the senator is saying by forcing the debate. And why Senator Thune will not do that, I don't know.
Well, Senator Rick Scott, thank you very much. It's really great to have you here and get your
Nice talking to
perspective.
every one of you. So take care.
Thank you so
thank
much,
you.
Senator.
Thank you, Senator. We love you.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, let's go to Illinois. We have Governor Rod Blagojevich.
Blagojevich.
Common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby, and joining us now is the great former governor of Illinois, the great Governor Rod Blagojevich. And Gov, we always love having you on. First, let's get to what you think about all this stuff with the DSA, and also this sort of soft on crime approach they have. And then you got Governor Pritzker, who you can't almost make it up. He had somebody break into his yard, and the person was, guess what, a repeat offender who had multiple crimes.
Well, yes, thanks, Rita. Thanks for having me on. Before I do that, let me just explain that John Catsimatidis, Blagojevich isn't hard to say. It rhymes with Catsimatidis. So, at some point, he's going to get that right.
Guess what? Thank goodness I'm Cosby.
Where's it? Greece and Serbia, not that far apart.
Yeah, oh, there you go.
We're cousins. God bless the Greeks. So listen.
Yes, we're first
Democratic
cousins
Party,
at least.
Yes. The Democratic Party has been taken over by the socialists. Socialism is a virus now that is spreading like COVID in the Democratic Party. Even moderate Democrats are afraid to make those socialists angry. The choice for the American people in this midterm election really is very simple. You see a Republican candidate, he's not the socialist. You see a Democratic candidate, no matter who he or she may be, that's the socialist. Because if the Democrats take control, it's that socialist wing that's going to drive that agenda and steal away our freedoms. With regard to the guy that jumped Pritzker's fence, that guy had 10 previous convictions. This is an example of the chickens come home to roost. J.B. Pritzker pushed this thing called the SAFE Act, no bail, no cash bail. He's been against law enforcement, Trump's efforts to send the National Guard and ICE to get rid of criminals out of Chicago and out of Illinois. Pritzker's fighting against that. And so now that happened to him. We don't want to see anything bad happen to him physically or his family, of course, but it is a great irony. It sums up what the challenge is here in Illinois and in Chicago with the kind of governing we have. And one thing about Pritzker, he used to be a moderate when he worked for me. Now he's the left-wing lunatic, Nepo baby, billionaire socialist because he's afraid of these people in his party who he's afraid might chop his head off.
Yeah, that's scary. Before we let you go also, Governor Blagojevich, talk about, there's a Fox Nation special that's coming up on you. It's called Blago. And I was watching the other night, you were with our friend Brian Kilmeade, I think, who was talking. And it was so powerful because I learned, we've all known you for a while. We love you. And to hear what you went through in prison was really extraordinary about who you were in prison with. Talk a little bit about that because a lot of people don't know what you experienced for so many years.
Well, thanks, Rita. And let me just say this, as I've said for a million times since it all came down on me, I didn't do it. It was all politics. Not crimes. Obama started. He wanted to make a political deal. He went to the White House for 8 years, and I went to the Big House for 8 years. It would have been 14 years had President Trump not rescued me. But I was sent to a higher prison where no governor's been. For the first nearly 3 years, I went from a 50,000 square foot governor's mansion to a 6 foot by 8 foot prison cell. I was in prison with Crips and Bloods, gangster disciples, Sinaloa cartel drug dealers who look up to the drug lord El Chapo like my daughters look up to Taylor Swift. There were men in there who committed murder, over 400 sex offenders. 2% of the 950 guys there were white collar, one governor, me. So I was in a real prison, and I spent time with guys named Socks and Smelly and Stinky and Sharky and Mr. B and G. They all had nicknames. A lot of them were, criminals, but not bad guys. And a lot of them were criminals and very bad guys. And I learned a lot. And it was really my faith in God, faith, hope, and love that brought me home. Above all, the excellence of love, that's St. Paul. First letter to Corinthians, chapter 13. My love for my family, I would never give in. I had my little girls back home, no matter how long it took. In a sort of like the movie The Odyssey now, the Homeric book that Catsimatidis has probably read 50 times because it was a Greek author. My Odyssey took 8 years to get back to my family, but I was never, ever, ever not going to keep fighting and surviving and enduring to get back, especially to my little girls who by the time I came home had grown up.
Wow. You know what? The fact you're able to share that story, it's amazing what you went through, Governor. We love you, and I can't even imagine just what you dealt with on 8 years there. That is like just remarkable.
I mean, Michael Cohen, who is a host on WABC now, experienced the same thing when he went on a political. He ended up in prison in a political witch hunt.
It's terrible. It's so horrible, John. It really is. I mean, this political targeting, this weaponization has to stop. It's horrible. Really horrible.
I haven't seen any Democrats go to prison.
Yeah, what a coincidence. Well, this one, him.
You're the only one. You're the only one.
That's because you crossed Obama.
Yeah, because you crossed, exactly.
Because you crossed Obama.
Exactly.
Well, I have a book coming out in the fall called Framed, Effed, and Freed, by the way, and it talks about how story starts with one President Obama, ends with another President Trump, and in between are all those guys I just talked about. Describes in details a lot of what happened, and it really is, I think, the beginning of the weaponization that began in America, which is a threat to our freedoms and the integrity of our elections, and that's the existential threat to our democracy. Because I truly believe that what they got away with doing to me at the AAA level to a Democrat governor, they were emboldened and felt they could do it to a Republican president at the major league level. And this is the greatest threat to our Constitution since the Civil War.
Wow. Well, listen, you got to come back and share more of that, too, also when your book comes out. You're always welcome. We love having you on. Former Governor Rod Blagojevich, once a governor, always a governor.
And what do we all stand for?
Truth, justice, and the American way.
God bless America. And let's go to Mark Levin. Show is already in progress.
Thanks for listening to Katz and Cosby with John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. You can hear Katz and Cosby weekdays at 5. It's the 5 o'clock show on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?